Welcome everybody to the PDR Sports webcast. I'm sports reporter Kevin Morales, and we have a special guest today, Partyville girls curling coach Vicki Grippentrog. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming on. And Vicki, we talked a little bit about it. You watched the Super Bowl yesterday. What did you think?
Yes, I did. I was very happy New Orleans won. I was very happy. They're a Cinderella team this year, so plus New Orleans needs something good to happen for it.
Absolutely.
So I was very happy about that.
I was surprised, but good game. So and like you said, they could use it. So. But we brought you on to talk about curling, and state curling starts this weekend. It's Friday and Saturday at the Madison Curling Club. I guess first of all, for those who maybe don't follow curling or just maybe casual followers, who are some of the top teams at state who are really going to contend?
This year on the girls' side, Portage is seeded number 1. Number 2 is Wausau West. On the boys' side, it'll be probably between Wapaka, who's won state the last 2 years, and Wausau West boys is going to be the number 1 seed this year. One interesting factor is there are 3 teams from Wausau West, and all 3 kids are siblings, 2 girls and a boy.
Really?
Yes, and they're all skipping. So yeah.
You know, and it's kind of interesting too because, you know, Partyville boys didn't even win the Southern Conference last year, but then they end up taking runner-up at state,
yeah.
So, you know, sometimes the preseason, what happens during league play and everything, that doesn't necessarily play out exactly like that at state.
No, that is very true. That's happened many years where a lot of people think Wausau is always the precursor for who's going to be at state and who the big teams are going to be, and that's not how it always works out. It's usually the bad thing is if you win Wausau, you don't win state.
Really? Is that sort of how it works out?
It's kind of how it's working out.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully it does work for Portage. Portage girls did win Wausau this year, so I'm sure they don't want to agree with that.
Right. And they're the number 1 seed.
They're the number 1 seed.
So and that's the Wausau TG Bonspiel?
TG Bonspiel, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We had an earlier webcast a couple weeks ago where we didn't know how to pronounce it. It was a little bit embarrassing. So.
TG, yes.
You know, and talk about the local teams and which ones, we talked a little bit about Portage girls, which ones could maybe make some noise, and what are the expectations for maybe the local teams going in?
I would say, I think the sleeper going into state this year is actually the Poinette girls team.
Really?
They have been very inexperienced over the season and over the last few years, but they have a new skip this year who played lead on the team last year, and she is awesome. She has really come on strong in the second half of the season, and even since Wausau. I'm shocked when we played her last Thursday how good she is compared to what she was a month ago.
Really?
So I think they're going to be a little sleeper coming into state for girls, I think.
Good to know. All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Anybody maybe on the boys' side that maybe jumps out at you?
Boys' side is going to be tough. Our league this year for the boys down here in Columbia County was really close, even though it was close. We have 2 co-champions this year, Poinette and Portage, and then Partyville was only 1 game out. So it's going to be very, very close, I think. So yeah, boys were evenly matched, I thought.
Yeah. You know, we talked a little bit about this. A lot of people might not even realize that there's high school curling in the state because it's not a WIAA sport.
Right.
Has there been discussions about making it a WIAA sport, and what have those discussions been?
There's been discussions of it, and a lot of us don't want it, only because the WIAA has restrictions on their athletes. In curling, we have a lot of kids like Alex Shiver from Portage. She's one that does junior nationals and does a lot of catch spiels during the season. And they also may be paying a coach. Well, in WIA, you cannot have a paid coach during your season. These kids could not be competing in cash spiels. Yeah. And so for us, it would not build our sport, being a WIA sport.
Right, and I know 2 years ago there were even more local players that were junior nationals, and so that's year after year, that's something that a lot of kids are doing. Yeah,
no, we like doing it. We can make our own rules, and we actually like not being, it used to be a WIA sport back 40 years ago, but yeah, it does continue, I think, because of the participation numbers being down.
Sure.
So
cool.
Yeah.
I guess one last question about curling for you. The Olympics start up in a couple weeks here. Actually, next Sunday?
Opening ceremonies on Friday, and the teams start playing on Tuesday, the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to be glued to the TV for a week or so?
I will be glued to the TV for 2 weeks, watching, of course, Debbie McCormick, who is one of our locals from Partyville. She's a member of our Partyville club. So, of course, we're excited to watch her play, and she has a really good chance of medaling this time, too. She's one of the top teams seeded in the Olympics this year for girls. So, yeah.
All right, fantastic. A lot of exciting things happening in curling right now.
Very exciting,
Sounds good. And we have another curling question coming up real quick, but let's talk some wrestling. Very shortly, we've got the WIAA regionals that start on Saturday, and last week was the conference meets, and we had a handful of conference champions from the area. From Rio, we had Kelvin Canales, and he was the only guy from Rio. From Lodi, we had Gedashaw Shimshak, Dakota Cable, Cody Endress, Clint Heimbecker, Justin Miller, Tony Zeman, and Ryan Quick. So, very good showing for Lodi.
Very good showing. At
the Capital Conference meet last week. Last but not least, we've got our trivia question. There we go. We're always organized on this show. Last week's trivia question: what 4 Packers intercepted New England's Drew Bledsoe in Super Bowl 31? The answer was Brian Williams, Mike Pryor, Craig Newsome, and Doug Evans. And the winner is Matt Makalinski from Chicago, Illinois. And that was Matt's first time winning. He's wrote in a couple times, but he was just too late.
Wow.
Congratulations to Matt, and thanks for replying. We appreciate it. This year, and I think you had said you already know the answer to this one. This week's trivia question: in what year did the Partyville High School girls curling team win its last Wisconsin High School State Curling Championship? So, write in the answer. We're eager to get it. We'll read your name on the air if you're the first one to write it in with the correct answer. So, for Vicki, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was fun.
And
we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.